Hey, wait a minute. Could this mean... maybe, just maybe, today, I don't need to come into work? Hell yeah!
Back to 1 year ago, Akira Tendo was once a passionate young man full of ambition, fresh out of college. He entered an advertising company with dreams in his heart and fell head over heels for Shizuka, a girl who matched his every aesthetic ideal. That night, his colleagues took him out to dinner to welcome him, and even Shizuka was giving him coy glances. When Akira Tendo thought he had hit the jackpot with both love and career, his colleagues, now full from the feast, suddenly stood up. Yes, they were heading back to the office to work overtime. Naturally, Akira had to join them. They worked through the night, and without a break, Akira started the next day's work, continuing until evening. After 2.5 days, Akira finally returned home for the first time. Utterly exhausted, he collapsed onto his bed without even taking a shower. For his dreams, Akira forced himself to get up and go to work every day, thinking that his seniors had made it through the same way. This grueling routine continued for a year, with colleagues leaving the company one after another, without new hires to take over. Akira's boss dumped all the work on him. Every day felt like hell for Akira. The only thing keeping him at the company was seeing Shizuka. Though he had a crush on her, he never mustered the courage to confess. After getting scolded by his manager, Akira often thought about quitting, but the endless overtime left no time to look for another job. Besides, quitting would cause trouble for his seniors, and he wasn't sure if a new job would be any better. Under this extreme pressure, Akira became a walking corpse. Every day, while waiting for the train, he would think that without the platform barrier, he wouldn't have to go to work tomorrow. One day, on his way to work, he suddenly saw an old janitor biting someone. The janitor, now a zombie, noticed Akira and lunged at him with a strange, jerky movement. In that moment, Akira snapped back to reality. He was once an athlete. After all, despite the zombie's ferocity, it couldn't catch up with him.
They're clearly zombies, right?
However, Akira was still worried about being late for work.
They're gonna mark me late today at work!
After shaking off the zombies, he reached the rooftop. Planes were exploding and crashing to the ground. Watching the apocalypse unfold below, he suddenly realized something important. He didn't have to go to work anymore.
Yeah! Right!
As Akira gazed at the sky, a long-lost sense of relaxation washed over him. Finally, he had endless days off. He chugged down the orange juice from his bag and suddenly thought of his crush, Shizuka. She immediately replied to his message, sending her location and urging him to come quickly. Akira Tendo climbed down the building through a pipe and pedaled furiously on his bike. Despite the zombie-filled streets looking like a scene from the apocalypse, the thought of seeing Shizuka filled Akira with excitement, as if he was on an adrenaline rush. When he rang the doorbell, Shizuka didn't answer right away. Calling her name, he walked inside. Suddenly, Shizuka, dressed in pajamas, clung to his leg, her face full of fear. The warmth and softness of her embrace left Akira flustered, and it took him a moment to ask what was going on. Shizuka pointed to the bed behind him. There, a zombie in a robe stood up, and Akira recognized it as the company's boss. It was then that Akira understood why they worked overtime every day while Shizuka often left on time. The zombie boss lunged at them, and Akira wrestled with him, accidentally pulling off his wig, revealing the boss's bald head. To protect Shizuka, Akira remembered his college football moves and tackled the boss. Shizuka then stepped forward with a thick Shinwa dictionary, and with a powerful swing, she crushed the boss's head.
You said it! You liar!
Akira, still reeling from their close call, saw Shizuka suddenly collapse. She began to convulse strangely. She had been bitten before Akira arrived. Watching his beloved turn into a zombie, Akira dodged her attacks, his heart heavy with sorrow. Despite his grief, he confessed his feelings from the past year. "I've liked you since I started at the company.
Believe I've been in love with you since then!
With tears streaming down his face, Akira turned and left the room. As Akira Tendo retraced his steps, he passed by the downstairs neighbor's apartment where a couple had once asked him to bring them supplies. This time, he found their place splattered with blood. Akira understood what had happened. Back home, Akira sat on the edge of his bed, lost in thought, remembering Shizuka's words. Since we're all going to become zombies eventually, why not do the things we've always wanted to but never did? With that, Akira took out a notebook and listed the things he had already done, planning to write down 100 things he wanted to do before turning into a zombie. He wrote about confessing his love, cleaning his room thoroughly, drinking in the morning without a care, riding a motorcycle through the streets. Confessing his love was already checked off, but there were many more things he wanted to do. After jotting down 11 wishes, Akira couldn't think of more. He realized that the person he once was had been lost in the grind of work. The next day, he began cleaning his apartment, which hadn't been tidied in a year. Once the place was spotless, Akira felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He then started his zero-cost shopping spree at the supermarket, throwing items into his cart without checking prices. He knew the cashier had turned into a zombie and couldn't charge him. Dyeing his hair, drawing graffiti, painting, he steadily ticked off items from his list. While in a fireworks store, again shopping for free, he noticed a small motorcycle with the keys still in it. Without hesitation, he hopped on. Riding the motorcycle was undeniably cooler than a bicycle. Akira rode to Tokyo Tower and set off the fireworks he had taken. The display was beautiful, but he was alone. As the days went by, even though the world had ended, Akira Tendo felt more relaxed and happier than ever. One day, Akira Tendo was on the rooftop, drinking beer and grilling steak. Just as he was getting into the ritual, he realized he was out of seasoning.
I'm better off as zombie food!
He rode to the supermarket to grab some, only to be kicked to the ground by a woman wearing a helmet. Akira immediately knelt and begged for mercy, explaining he was just there for some barbecue sauce. Leaving the woman speechless, when Akira was about to question her for kicking him, she removed her helmet, revealing a stunningly beautiful face. Finally encountering another living person, Akira naturally wasn't going to let her go easily. However, despite her beauty, her words were quite harsh. She couldn't believe anyone would risk getting bitten by zombies just to find seasoning. Just then, cries for help came from outside the store. The ever-helpful Akira grabbed the seasoning and rushed out, throwing it at a zombie, but it had no effect. He ran back inside, where the woman stepped up, elegantly wielding a baton and dispatching the zombie with a series of swift moves. Another zombie entered the store. Calmly, the woman pulled out a device and tossed it behind her, using sound to lure the zombie away. After collecting her supplies, she turned to leave. Akira tried to strike up a conversation, but she was dismissive. As Akira shamelessly invited her to come home with him, she told him to stay away. She didn't want to associate with someone who risked his life for strangers, as it was detrimental to her survival. With that, she left without looking back. Back home, Akira Tendo reflected on his years of endless overtime, realizing he didn't have a single friend he could contact. Suddenly, he thought of Kenichiro from the university football team. Unlike Akira, Kenichiro had become a successful real estate agent, leveraging his natural social skills. He had a thriving career and a model girlfriend, a stark contrast to Akira's exhausted existence. Kenichiro had once urged Akira to quit his job, but Akira hadn't listened and they ended up having a big argument. Despite the unpleasant fallout, Akira decided to call his old friend. To his surprise, Kenichiro was alive but trapped in a hotel in Kabukicho. Upon hearing Akira's call, Kenichiro was shocked and claimed he was doomed. Determined, Akira asked for Kenichiro's exact location and set off on his motorcycle. No zombie could stop him from rescuing his friend. By the time Akira reached Kabukicho, it was dark and the streets were teeming with zombies. Seeing the hotel's sign, he pulled an object from his pocket, threw it out, and activated his phone's Bluetooth. He had learned from the mysterious woman that zombies were attracted to certain frequencies. Using a Bluetooth speaker, he drew many zombies away. Yet, these were just a fraction of the horde. He used his college football skills, maneuvering with agile footwork and powerful body checks to break through the zombies' encirclement. In that moment, it felt like he was back on the familiar rugby field. Inside the room, Kenichiro suddenly noticed the banging outside had stopped. He opened the door and looked around, only to see a figure rushing towards him, making him scream in fright. It turned out to be Akira Tendo. Dressed in football gear, Akira Tendo removed his helmet and immediately began apologizing to his friend. He regretted not taking his advice to quit and was also sorry for their argument, admitting that his jealousy over Kenichiro's carefree life had caused him to lash out and vent his frustrations. Kenichiro, though initially exasperated, couldn't help but laugh. "You came all this way just to tell me that?" Their conversation attracted more zombies. The two friends fled to the hotel's rooftop, using a ladder to barricade the door. On the top floor, they found a restaurant and celebrated their reunion with drinks, reminiscing and enjoying the moment despite the chaos around them. After a satisfying meal, Akira Tendo showed Kenichiro his list of 100 dreams, including drinking with flight attendants and traveling in an RV. The 12th item on the list was to sincerely apologize to his best friend. Kenichiro was almost brought to tears. They reminisced about their university days, and Akira recalled a childhood daydream of becoming a superhero and saving everyone, which he added to his list of wishes. Seeing Akira's unbroken childlike spirit, Kenichiro thought it would be hard for him to become a superhero since he couldn't fly or shoot webs from his hands. Kenichiro checked his phone for online videos and found that central Tokyo was overrun with zombies and completely lost. He suggested they had to leave Tokyo to survive. However, Akira insisted on visiting the aquarium before leaving. He had been thinking about ways to deal with the zombies and had discovered on the aquarium's website a special suit designed to withstand shark bites. He believed that with this suit, he would be invincible against the zombies, making it an essential part of becoming a superhero. The two left the hotel and ventured onto the streets. During the day, there were indeed fewer zombies. Akira noticed an RV parked by the roadside, reminding him of his dream. At that moment, a bus crashed at an intersection, and the escaping passengers were hunted down by zombies. Among them were two women carrying suitcases. Catching Akira's attention, he quickly called them into a convenience store for safety. The woman they had encountered before was also being chased by zombies. Despite her excellent self-defense skills, the overwhelming number of zombies lusting after her forced her to flee toward the convenience store where Akira and Kenichiro were. They closed the shutter door, finally protecting everyone inside and escaping the immediate danger. The driver explained that their group was heading to a place rumored to be zombie-free, which was also Akira Tendo's destination, the aquarium. It was said that the area had barricades to block zombies and that the aquarium housed plenty of fish that could serve as food, attracting many survivors.
I'm sorry.
At that moment, with numerous zombies outside making it impossible to leave, at least they didn't have to worry about food in the convenience store. One of the women walked over to the liquor cabinet, grabbed a bottle, and decided to drink away her troubles. Akira Tendo and Kenichiro joined in. To their surprise, both women turned out to be flight attendants. It seemed fate was helping Akira fulfill another of his dreams, pushing him closer to his goal of completing his list before becoming a zombie. Akira decided to take the initiative and struck up a conversation with the women, asking if they had boyfriends.
Huh? Your timing sucks.
He grabbed a beer and drank to mask his awkwardness, but when he turned around, he saw Kenichiro charmingly interacting with both women, watching the three of them getting along so well. Akira felt a pang of envy and sent pleading looks to Kenichiro, hoping he would share one of the women with him. Kenichiro, however, smugly apologized to Akira and led the two women to play dress-up games. Akira felt very frustrated, thinking that since he had saved Kenichiro's life, Kenichiro should at least share with him. At that moment, the mysterious woman asked what he was doing. Remembering her presence, Akira quickly introduced himself. The woman ignored his introduction and instead noticed his injured hand, which had likely been cut while closing the shutter. Despite her sharp tongue, she had a kind heart. As she bandaged Akira's wound, she scolded him and the others for not taking their situation seriously, asking how they expected to survive if they wasted time playing games. Just then, the driver, who had passed out from drinking, suddenly sat up. It turned out he had been bitten by a zombie before they entered the store. Seeing the driver become more grotesque, Akira Tendo decided to quietly sneak away with the woman. However, he accidentally kicked a bottle, immediately drawing the newly turned zombies' attention towards them. Meanwhile, Kenichiro, unaware of the danger, was playing dress-up games with the two flight attendants. Attention, passengers. Kenichiro was completely enthralled by the two women.
Begun climbing, sir.
Turbulence!
As he enjoyed their company, a head suddenly appeared behind them. One of the women struggled but was pinned down. The other flight attendant yelled at the driver, calling him a pervert, and tried to push him away to save her friend. With Kenichiro's help, they managed to pull her up, but the driver wasn't interested in their beauty. His mouth was dripping with blood. Before they could react, he shifted his target. In just a few seconds, both women had turned into zombies. Kenichiro, horrified by their transformation, screamed, attracting the driver zombie's attention, who then charged at him. On the other side of the store, Akira Tendo heard his friend's screams and wanted to go back to save him. However, the mysterious woman decided to leave on her own, believing she would survive better alone and that staying with them would only get her killed. With no other choice, Akira Tendo returned to help his friend, but against the powerful driver zombie, they were no match and ended up playing a deadly game of cat and mouse in the store. The woman who left alone felt exasperated, thinking how unlucky she was to have met these people. Trapped, she decided to use the store's speakers to save herself. The noise attracted the driver zombie, but also brought the flight attendant zombies toward her.
This is why I don't work with others.
This is why I hate teaming up, she muttered. A chaotic fight ensued between the three zombies and the woman, with the noise drawing the driver zombie into the fray. Just as the woman was about to be cornered, Akira Tendo and Kenichiro, instead of escaping through the shutter door, used fireworks to distract the zombies and save her. After rescuing her, the three of them fled through the door, searching for a vehicle to escape the danger. Akira Tendo remembered the RV and checked it, finding the keys still inside. The woman initially planned to leave alone, but with Akira's persuasion and the zombies closing in, she joined them in the RV, escaping Kabukicho together. Surprised that they had come back to save her, the woman listened as Akira explained his dream of becoming a superhero, calling him an idiot. However, she let down her guard and introduced herself as Shizuka. Since their destination was the same, the aquarium, they set off together. Gradually, Akira Tendo reverted to his old self, expressing a wish to visit a hot spring with beautiful women. During their escape, he also swiped a bottle of fine wine from the store. Shizuka flatly refused this odd request, but since she didn't have a driver's license, she had no choice but to join their road trip. Along the way, Akira attempted to fulfill his remaining wishes, like practicing paddleboard yoga on a roadside lake. Kenichiro falling into the water brought a rare smile to Shizuka's face. Being around funny people made her happy without her even realizing it. They also tried skydiving from a tower and enjoyed a grand fireworks display. A day before reaching the aquarium, they arrived at a hot spring. While soaking in the hot spring, they saw fireflies in the nearby woods. Moved by the beautiful sight, Shizuka shyly thanked them for saving her. As she opened up, the bond between the three grew stronger, and they drank wine and fell asleep in the RV. The next day, as they neared the seaside aquarium, a tire on the RV suddenly blew out, causing them to crash into a tree. Akira Tendo hit his head on the car door and passed out. It turned out that the tire had been punctured by a row of spikes, suggesting that someone at the aquarium didn't welcome their arrival.
How long are you gonna lie there asleep? Wake up already, Tendo! I'm so sorry, sir!
When Akira Tendo woke up, he saw his company supervisor. The zombie apocalypse had been just a nightmare, and he was groggily working overtime at the company. But soon, Gonzo showed Akira around the aquarium. During the zombie outbreak, Gonzo had been there with his team shooting a commercial. Akira also saw his former colleagues. While food wasn't a concern at the aquarium, everyone had to work. The security team used zombies as a defense mechanism to ward off other survivor groups. These zombies, which required no food or pay, were like perfect employees, reminding Akira of his past self. However, a social hierarchy still existed within the aquarium. Latecomers like Akira and his friends only got emergency rations, while Gonzo and his team enjoyed fresh seafood daily. Akira was reduced to a serval position, serving tea and water. Kenichiro couldn't stand seeing his friend like this. However, angering Gonzo would mean being kicked out of the aquarium. So, Kenichiro repaired the RV's tire, gathered supplies, and planned for the three of them to leave. But under Gonzo's influence, Akira reverted to his workaholic self, believing staying was safer and saying he needed to get back to work. As Shizuka sat in the RV, she found Akira's notebook of dreams. Seeing all the wishes he had accomplished, the last one added was travel around Japan together. Written the night they visited the hot spring. Determined, Shizuka and Kenichiro returned to the aquarium to persuade Akira to leave with them, but he was already brainwashed by Gonzo. Shizuka spoke about how being with Akira and Kenichiro had changed her. She had experienced carefree days and done things she'd never imagined, making this the best and most incredible time of her life. In a world where survival was uncertain, no one knew the right way to live.
We're just zombies if we stay here anyway!
She held up Akira's list, reminding him of all the things he still wanted to do before becoming a zombie. Akira remembered his soulless corporate life and the adventures he'd had with his friends after the apocalypse. Gonzo pushed Shizuka aside and stomped on the notebook. Finally, Akira was awakened. He thanked Gonzo for his guidance but declared that from now on, he was quitting. Living a monotonous life wasn't worth it compared to fulfilling his dreams. Just then, screams erupted from the main gate. A zombie had infiltrated the supply convoy, attacking the guards and letting the zombies guarding the gate into the aquarium. The group fled to the shark tank, unaware that the sharks had recently consumed several zombies and turned into zombie sharks. One of the sharks leaped out of the tank and devoured one of Gonzo's men in a single bite. Shizuka urged everyone not to panic, pointing out that sharks couldn't walk on land, but the shark seemed to take offense at her dismissal. Sprouting several legs from its abdomen, the remains of the zombies it had eaten, and started striding towards the group. Akira Tendo and the others hid in a storage room, only to find that Gonzo had disappeared. He was actually hiding behind a forklift, attempting to sneak away, but the zombie shark noticed him and gave chase. Ignoring his friend's protests, Akira Tendo wanted to rescue Gonzo. In his dream of being a superhero, he wouldn't abandon anyone, not even his oppressive former supervisor. Before he could leave, Kenichiro pointed to a corner of the room, reminding him that superheroes needed proper gear. Suiting up in his special suit, Akira Tendo charged out and rescued Gonzo. However, his heroic moment was short-lived as he had no idea how to defeat the zombie shark. While Akira and the shark tussled, Gonzo once again tried to escape. In a critical moment, Kenichiro arrived on the forklift and started a direct confrontation with the shark. Meanwhile, Gonzo, pursued by zombies, fled back into the shark tank area, determined to save him. Akira Tendo dove into the zombie horde. He soon discovered that while his suit could withstand zombie bites, the bites were still excruciatingly painful. Kenichiro realized that even the forklift couldn't fend off the powerful zombie shark and retreated to the storage room. In the nick of time, Shizuka appeared, holding two music players. She used them to lure all the zombies in the room to the edge of the floor.
Do your worst!
Drawn by the sound, the zombies plunged into the water, and the shark found itself trapped against the walls. Thinking they were safe, Akira Tendo cheered, but Gonzo emerged from hiding, mocking the shark, which promptly broke through the wall and sent him flying. Shizuka grabbed a flashlight and removed its battery, revealing that she knew the shark's weakness. She explained that the shark had ultra-sensitive organs in its head for detecting prey, and an electric shock might disable them. Since Akira Tendo's new suit was non-conductive, only he could carry out the plan. After explaining the strategy, Shizuka handed the battery to Kenichiro, who used himself as bait to draw the shark's attention, then passed the battery to Akira Tendo. Summoning all his strength, Akira Tendo launched himself at the shark and punched it in the nose with the battery. Electricity surged through the creature, and the mutated shark finally collapsed. After this life-or-death ordeal, Akira Tendo was resolute. Despite Gonzo's pleas, he chose to leave the aquarium with his friends. He pulled out his list of dreams and encouraged them to write down their own wishes as well. They then drove off in the RV, embarking on a new journey together in the post-apocalyptic world.
Let's all just give it our best!